Between 1500 and 1700, corsairs captured over 1 million Europeans. They didn't raid the coast, they owned it. The Mediterranean was the richest trade corridor on Earth. Everyone wanted it. No one could hold it alone. Lesbos, 1470s. 4 brothers. Their father was Turkish. Their mother was Greek. They belonged to both worlds. Their father made pottery. He wanted them to stay on land. None of them did. The sea was already inside them. They learned the currents, the winds, which ships were fast, which ones weren't. The sea was their education. The Ottomans held the east. Venice held the trade routes. Everyone else fought for what was left. Ilyas was the first to die, a battle against the Knights of Rhodes. He was the youngest of the 4 brothers. Oruç didn't mourn long. He raided Spanish lanes, Genoese merchants, anyone who moved slowly enough to catch. In 1504, the Knights of Rhodes captured him. He spent 3 years as their galley slave, Oruç Reis, in chains. 3 years, pulling an oar, the man who would terrorize Europe, a slave of the men he would later hunt. While Oruç was in chains, Hızır kept raiding, alone. He built contacts, he built a reputation, he waited. Oruç was freed in 1506. 3 years at an oar does something to a man. He was done being careful. They reunited in Antalya, 3 brothers now. Ilyas was gone. What they built next, Europe would not forget. First major operation, 2 papal galleys off the Calabrian coast. They took both ships, and every man on them. They needed a base, Jerba, off the Tunisian coast, small enough to defend, close enough to everything worth raiding. This was not random piracy. This was industry. Ships, crews, informants, buyers, bankers, a complete system. Ransom was the business model. A Spanish merchant was worth more alive than dead. They calculated everything. Spain sent fleets. They captured Oruç once, briefly. He escaped. Spain sent more fleets. It made no difference. By 1510, coastal villages from Sicily to Sardinia had a system. 1 bell meant danger. 2 bells meant run. Europeans called him Barbarossa, Red Beard. They meant it as a warning. He wore it as a title. 1516, Algiers. The ruler asked Oruç for help against Spain. Oruç came, he helped, then he killed the ruler. He offered Algiers to Sultan Selim I. The Sultan accepted. Overnight, the corsairs had an empire behind them. Ishak died fighting for Tlemcen. 2 brothers gone now. Oruç and Hızır were the last 2 left standing. Spain launched its largest campaign yet, 10,000 soldiers, 1 target. They were coming for Oruç directly. In 1518, they cornered him at a river outside Tlemcen. He fought until he couldn't. Then they killed him. Hızır received the news in Algiers. No record of what he said. He kept the city, he kept the fleet, he kept going. Sultan Selim confirmed him as governor of Algiers. Hızır was now both corsair and Ottoman official, both at once. The Sultan gave him a new name, Hayrettin, good of the faith. He kept Barbarossa. Europe already knew that one. He built a navy from scratch, not a fleet of raiders, a professional war machine. Algiers became his shipyard. Spain responded with an armada. They blockaded Algiers harbor. They expected him to negotiate. He didn't negotiate. He hit them from the flank in a storm. Spain lost 12 ships and 4,000 men in a single afternoon. After that, the Western Mediterranean shifted. Not gradually, overnight. The corsairs had won the coastline. In 1536, France sent an ambassador to Suleiman. They wanted an alliance against Spain. This had never happened before. A Christian kingdom allying with the Ottoman Empire against another Christian kingdom. Barbarossa made this possible. Suleiman summoned him to Constantinople in 1533. He arrived with 18 galleys and 1,000 men. No one missed the point. Grand Admiral of the Ottoman fleet, the most powerful naval command in the world. A former galley slave now held it. He reorganized the entire Ottoman navy. New ships, new tactics, new supply lines. Within 2 years, it was unrecognizable. His first campaign as Grand Admiral, the Italian coast, Reggio, Calabria, Campania. 36,000 captives taken. 36,000 in one campaign. The number isn't a mistake, it was the point. 1534, Tunis. The Hafsid Sultan ruled it for centuries. Barbarossa took it in 11 days. Charles V of Spain had enough. He assembled the largest Christian fleet in a generation. The target was Tunis. 300 ships, 30,000 soldiers. Charles came personally. This was not a raid, this was a crusade. Barbarossa abandoned Tunis, a tactical retreat. He saved the fleet. Charles celebrated. Too soon. While Charles celebrated in Tunis, Barbarossa sailed west. He raided Minorca, 6,000 captives. Then he vanished. September 1538, Preveza. The Holy League assembled every ship it had. Venice, Spain, the Pope, all of them together. 302 ships, 60,000 men. It was the largest Christian naval force ever assembled, against one man. Barbarossa had 122 galleys. He was outnumbered 2-1. He attacked anyway. He hit the flanks before they could form a line. The Holy League never recovered. By nightfall, it was over. 49 Christian ships sunk or captured, 3,000 dead. The rest fled. Preveza was not a battle, it was a verdict. After Preveza, the Ottoman Empire controlled the Mediterranean, not partially, not strategically, completely. After Preveza, Barbarossa was 63 years old. He had been raiding for 4 decades. He wasn't finished yet. 1543, France asked for help against Spain. Barbarossa sailed his entire fleet into Toulon harbor. France gave him the city. The French emptied Toulon for him. 30,000 Ottoman sailors lived in a French city for 8 months. Europe watched in silence. On the way home, he raided the Spanish coast, Nice, Sanremo, Porto Ercole. France called it collateral, Spain called it war. He retired to Constantinople in 1544. He dictated his memoirs. He watched the Bosphorus. He had earned the view. Hayreddin Barbarossa died in 1546, in his bed, in his home, surrounded by his men. Not every corsair got that ending. Suleiman ordered a state funeral. The man who had been a galley slave was buried with the honors of an empire. He was gone, but the system he built wasn't. The corsairs kept raiding, the coast kept burning, the captives kept coming. 3 major corsair states remained: Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, each one a city, a fleet, and a business model. His lieutenants carried on. Turgut Reis, Dragut to the Europeans. He had learned everything from Barbarossa. He improved on it. Dragut raided Malta, Gozo, Sardinia. He was so effective that Spain offered him a fortune to stop. He refused. Spain eventually captured him. He spent 4 years at the oar, like his mentor before him. History repeating. France ransomed him in 1553. The same France that had let Barbarossa use Toulon. The network never stopped working. He took Tripoli for the Ottomans in 1551. 1 city, 1 week, 1 fleet. The Knights of Malta surrendered without a fight. By the mid-1500s, the raids had moved north. Ireland, Iceland, the coast of England. The Mediterranean was not enough anymore. In 1631, corsairs raided Baltimore, Ireland. They took 237 people. The village never recovered. In 1627, they raided Iceland. Hundreds taken. Some were enslaved for decades. One was ransomed. Most were never seen again. Families spent years trying to ransom their relatives. Some paid everything they had. Some never got an answer back. Algiers alone held 25,000 European slaves by 1600. English, French, Spanish, Italian, Dutch, all of them. Churches across Europe held special collections, ransom funds, entire communities pooling money for one person's freedom. Religious orders formed specifically to ransom captives, the Trinitarians, the Mercedarians. This was their only job. Miguel de Cervantes was captured in 1575. He spent 5 years in Algiers. He tried to escape 4 times. He failed every time. He was finally ransomed in 1580. He went home and wrote Don Quixote. The most famous novel in Spanish history began in a corsair prison. Europe adapted slowly. Better ships, better guns, better tactics. It took 2 centuries, but the balance eventually shifted. The United States Navy's first real war was against the Barbary States. 1801, a new nation, an old problem. American merchant ships had been raided since independence. They paid tribute for years. Then they stopped paying. President Jefferson sent warships in 1801. No negotiation, no tribute. The United States was done being a victim. The Barbary Wars lasted 4 years. America won. Barely. Tripoli signed a treaty in 1805. The raids slowed. They didn't stop. France invaded Algiers in 1830. Not to raid, to colonize. 3 centuries of corsair power ended in 3 weeks. The corsair state that Barbarossa had built from nothing was gone. The man who took it wasn't a better pirate. He was an empire. The ships rotted in the harbor. The system that had run for 3 centuries simply stopped. Not with a battle, with a flag. Historians still argue about what to call them. Pirates, admirals, state actors. The answer depends on who's asking. They operated under Ottoman letters of marque, official documents, official permission. This was not piracy. This was policy. Venice had corsairs. Genoa had corsairs. Spain had corsairs. The Ottomans simply built the most efficient version of the same system. The Mediterranean in 1550 was not a sea with rules. It was a competition. The Barbarossas understood that before anyone else did. His tomb still stands in Istanbul, on the waterfront, exactly where he would have wanted it, watching the ships pass. Turkish sailors still salute when they pass it. A tradition that has continued for nearly 500 years. Some things hold. Baltimore, Ireland still exists, a quiet fishing village now. In 1631, it lost nearly its entire population in a single night. Iceland never forgot either. The raids of 1627 entered their national memory. A word for corsairs entered the Icelandic language. Don Quixote was written by a man who spent 5 years in a corsair prison, the most read novel in Spanish. Algiers made it possible. 1 million Europeans between 1500 and 1700. That number is not propaganda. It comes from the ransom records they left behind. The records survived. Names, prices, nationalities, dates. The corsairs were meticulous. They were running a business after all. 4 brothers left Lesbos with small boats and no empire behind them. 3 died building what the 4th inherited. Hayrettin Barbarossa became Grand Admiral of the most powerful navy on earth. From galley slave to fleet commander. 1 lifetime. At Preveza, he defeated the combined fleets of Venice, Spain, and the Pope, all of them, at once. He was outnumbered 2 to 1. 2 centuries of raids, 1 million captives. The entire Mediterranean coast reshaped by 4 brothers from a Greek island. The empire they served is gone. The cities they raided are still there. The sea they controlled is still there. They are not. History calls them pirates. The Ottomans called them admirals. Europe called them terror. They called themselves corsairs. The name Barbarossa outlasted the empire that employed them. It outlasted the ships. It outlasted the fear. It just outlasted. 4 brothers, 3 deaths, 200 years, 1 sea, and a name Europe spent 2 centuries trying to forget.